Hello, welcome to this new episode of Continuum Gaming, and in this episode I want to talk about Sailfish OS again. In this case about banking apps on Sailfish OS. I'm not sure if you are aware of it, but banking apps in general are of course Android based, so in the end you will need the Android Dalek or the Alien Dalek extension, which is going to be renamed in future, I think, but at the moment it's still Alien Dalek, I think. And in the end, what's happening here is that some of the apps, and it's an increasing amount of number of apps, unfortunately, will check the device for being rooted. So in the end, if you want to install, for instance, Sailfish OS on a smartphone like the Xperia 10 Mark III or 4 or 5 or whatever, you will have to root your smartphone, so more or less get access to the bootloader and do, for instance, something like installing Sailfish OS itself on it, because of course all these devices are in general delivered with Android, from the factory at least, and after that you will have to install Sailfish OS on them by yourself, and that means you are rooting it, because otherwise you can't really access the partitions and stuff like that where you have to install Sailfish OS on. And some of the apps try to find out if that is true, if it's rooted, and if it's rooted then they will tell you and don't let you do anything. Some will just crash, some will just give you a big warning and just close the app. Some will just not work. It depends on what we are talking about. And of course there are some of the very bright examples which don't care at all, so they will work. And there should be no trouble with them. And I want to show you a list of which was acquired by different people from the Jolla forum, where they are going to talk about or show you more or less which apps are working in which versions to what extent. And that is a really interesting thing there. And and I have another question there, which is maybe very interesting, because I have the C2 here. And the one Jolla device which is currently supported, which really isn't rooted at all. So maybe this one could even work with some of the apps we saw here, because it's not rooted. It's really factory based with Sailfish OS, so it's coming from the factory, it's not rooted, the bootloader is closed down and everything is working like that. And that maybe should change that, I'm not sure, but that would be a really major advantage of the C2. So, just to let you know, if you are searching for the link only, just click on the button down below, it's in the description there, and that's more or less all I wanted to show you. And for all the others who want to stay around, we will have a look at the different informations we find there. And probably I can even scale in a little, so it should be easier to read this. In the end, as you can see, there is this little thread more or less, which is not that little, because we have over 100 answers here. And it's April 24 when it was released, and it's growing and growing, and it's really a nice little thing where everybody is going to tell you about their experiences with these different kinds of apps. And very important, if you scroll down a little, here are a couple of different, let's say, state codes or whatever. So in the end, if it's a native app, it does work in general. And I would say 1 to 4 of the native ones are not available, just like it is. Maybe the N4 is still there, because there were some native apps for some of the banks, I think, but most of them are discontinued or whatever, because they are not going to allow anything like that in general. So what we are mostly going to see is a 1 to G4. As you can see, if there's a 4 beneath the first letter, then nothing is going to work, it's useless. And 3 means some kind of things might work. If there's a 2, for instance, hey, most of the things work, and if it's 1, then probably everything works, or at least most of the really important things work. So these are the codes. If you see an N, it means it's a native app. If you see an A, it's an Android app, and if you see G, this means that you need micro G to be installed on the device, but then it's going to have a certain status. In general, it's N would be the best, and G would be the worst in the end, because you need more of Google stuff installed, or at least you would have some certain requirements to go on and work with it. But yeah, if it's a 4 or a 3 behind it, it's probably not worth your while. Anyway, so let's have a look at the banking list, and as you already can see, it's even going to tell you which country these banks are from, and yeah, which one you want to use there. And as you can see, Austria and Brazil and different countries are available here, and as you can see, people are going to tell you, hey, okay, this works, this doesn't, and so on and so forth. So Austria, let's have a look. Erste Bank in Austria. There was this George or Georg, Oberbank and Volksbank. Volksbank is more or less, yeah, a pretty big one. The other ones I don't know, but it's Austria, so I'm not in Austria, I can't really tell you. But Volksbank, for instance, is in Germany too, and it's pretty high on the list here, and it's Android A1, so this one is pretty good, meaning that it needs the Android support, but it's really working as it should. And that is, of course, one of the good ones which you really should search for. For instance, if you're trying to find out if Sailfish OS can work for you, or if you want to go to another bank or something, because you're heavily relying on these kind of banking apps or whatever. I, for myself, I'm not using banking apps in the end, so I'm doing most of my stuff with the bank itself, or I'm just using PayPal, depending on what I'm going to do, or I'm just using SEPA, yeah, actions and stuff like that. So in the end, I'm not doing much of that kind of thing, and if there is a bank transfer I will have to do, then I'm just going to go to the bank and let them do that. But whatever, it's really very randomly for me, or rarely used by me, so I'm not going to use any kind of banking, just for security reasons and because I don't want to have the hassle and stuff like that. But whatever, there are a lot of different countries where that is not or no longer possible. So have a look at the list here, see what you can see here. For instance, for Brazil, it's more or less useless. So even with the highest level of installed micro-G stuff, it's still useless because maybe it's rooted or something. We can't see it at the moment, which is a little bit of a bummer, but in some situations they just even tell you why it's not working. For instance, this one, A2, so mostly working, but QR code scanning doesn't work, but everything else does. And so in the end, in some situations you will see some stuff here which should give you a good hint why it's not working, and in some you don't see anything. But if I go down to Germany, for instance, I'm from Germany, so I'm of course looking at that. You can even see here, okay, that one works. Now in the version 8.10 it worked, in the version 9.0 it didn't. So rule check added, refused to work, shame on you, Comdirect. Okay, so Comdirect worked before, and now with the new version it doesn't. And this one is something I will try out, maybe. I'm not sure if I can, because I can't log in or something. I'm not at Comdirect, but as you can see, I have a C2 here. And yeah, by just having a look at that and seeing if it's going to at least start or something, I may have something for the C2 which will work here. So let's try it out. I just got on Aurora in this case, to get, of course, the real deal, the real version of this app. Aurora is, of course, if you don't know that, a store where you can more or less get, in an anonymous way at least, Google apps from the Google Play Store. And yeah, this is my C2. I'm just trying to see if this works, because this seems to be the app he was mentioning there, and Comdirect Phototan app in the end. And I'm just going to install that and see what's happening. So let's do that. I'm just going to click on that. It takes a little till it's going to be downloaded. Should not be too long, because the app isn't really a big one. And yeah, after a while it should be downloaded, and as you can see we have version 9.6 in this case, which I'm downloading here, and let's see what is happening. Okay, so he's asking me, would you like to install it? Of course I'm going to. And after that, it should, after a while at least, be available here. Sometimes it takes a little because it has to update something there, I'm not sure what, but there it is, you can see it, photo 10, we already see it. And now I'm just going to start it up and see what's happening. I'm not sure which kind of state I would have to get here with this app to get to the point where he had problems. But yeah, let's try it out. So I'm just going to start it. So we just have this C on there, and let's see. In the end, at the moment, nothing happening. Seems to be, yeah, pretty much starting as it should. And I'm not sure how far I can go here. He's just asking me a couple of questions here. And now we would start with activation somehow. What's up there? Let's see if I can click that. Yeah, there are a couple of informations about the authors and data protection stuff and like that. Doesn't matter, so let's go to activation. And he doesn't ask me for anything, he doesn't say it's rooted or something. And now I'm just inserting apps and stuff like that, the passwords and stuff like that. So in the end, yeah, I should create a password here. I'm just going to put something in. It really doesn't matter much what that would be, because I'm not going to use this app anyway. So just don't bother with trying to hack it or something. It's not going to be worth it. And yeah, I'm at step 2. I think now I would need something, yeah, more or less, well, from the bank itself to really go in there and do stuff. But as it seems, at least if the first time step there, the first time request or whatever was already in this case, and it's often that they are really checking that at the start of the app, then I would say it's working on the C2, so just try it out. If somebody really works with this app on the C2 or maybe on another device, doesn't really matter, with Sailfish OS of course enabled, please let me know in the commentary, because I really would like to know if that is the case. It's just a thesis of me that the C2 might be a pretty nice and solid one for doing banking apps and stuff like that, because it's really not rooted in the end. And I'm not sure what's going to determine if a device is rooted or not for the app created. But in the end, strictly spoken, this is not a rooted device. This should be fine for them. And yeah, in the end, what you already could see here is that, for instance, even if that should be working, maybe it's going to work. I'm not sure, because root check isn't a thing in this case. If you have any kind of other app which is on here, which has a similar thing, please try that one out too and put it into this forum here, into this thread. The link can be found down below, but I really think there are a couple of really interesting informations in this part here, and it's a pretty long one, as mentioned before. There are really many different countries and apps which were already tested here. And here, for instance, you can, give which kind of result you should put into this thread, so you really can contribute to the informations given here. And yes, this is more or less all I wanted to talk about in this app. So sorry if you don't get any kind of conclusion. It's like that in this app. It's not going to be possible for me to do that, because this is very much what I can provide you. More is not possible in the end. If your app is on here with the version you're using, it's very likely to work for you too. If it's not, or you might ask for somebody to test it if you're not using Sailfish OS yourself already, or otherwise just have a look in here. Maybe you find your bank and you can get information out of that. Other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, of course. If you want to ask something, or if you had I don't know, a test with the C2 for instance, with one of the apps on this, please let me know in the commentary section down below. It's really interesting for me. And other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Of course, if you didn't subscribe to the channel, do that now too. And other than that, see you in the next episode. Bye. Bye.